Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping. Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. Learn what mistakes not to make with women in the dating scene with Stop Simping. Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. Available in paperback and online booksellers today. Over the weekend, we had yet another psycho simp go on another murderous rampage. This weekend, Cory Godbolt decided he was going to murder 8 people, all because he couldn't get a chance to see his children when he went to his baby mama's house. And this Cory Godbolt, when confronted by a police officer, decided to go on a kill spree. First, he kills this police officer, then he goes and kills family members. Then he takes a hostage, drives to another house, and kills more people. Then, when he is shot by police, he goes into an emotional meltdown. When I was listening to Cory Godbolt as he was handcuffed and on the street, it pretty much, again, reminded me of a child's temper tantrum. And what's really sad about looking at Cory Godbolt is you see a grown man in the body, but a child in the mind. And the reason why he's a child in the mind has to do, again, as I have said in numerous videos, with the way we are raising males. The way we are raising males is creating a generation of dysfunctional men who cannot navigate the course of life or the conflicts that are a part of life. And because these men have not been taught critical thinking skills, conflict resolution skills, or even logic and reason, these men pretty much think emotionally, and they think and they act irrationally. And because they go out here and they act irrationally, sadly, innocent people wind up losing their lives because these males do not have the character or the resolve to know how to deal with things. Now, your Cory Godbolt pretty much is just another example of a psycho simp, another example in the same case as your Elliot Rodger, your Dylan Roof, your James Harris Jackson, and many others who, when they couldn't get their way, decided they were going to go on a murderous rampage and act out like a small child. Unfortunately, there is no one to discipline these males when they were young, and this is why they are acting out when they get older. And when I look at the way your Cory Godbolt pretty much was throwing that tantrum, it reminded me of Steven Stevens just a couple of weeks ago, who pretty much went berserk all because the woman he was with, Joy Lane, just rejected it. And then this guy, Cory Godbolt, was even worse than your Steven Stevens, because this guy decides he's going to go out and murder 8 innocent people who had nothing to do with the baby mama, and pretty much decides that that's the course of action to take, all because his baby mama wouldn't let him see his kids. He decides his solution to the problem is to go and murder innocent people, not confront the person that he has the issue with in a constructive manner. Because if this guy was thinking logically, he would have pretty much walked away from that residence before they even called the police, and he would have dealt with the issue in family court. If he was allowed visitation rights, he should have gone to the court. Unfortunately, when it comes down to today's males, they are pretty much not raised with any sort of conflict resolution skills or critical thinking skills due to the single mother household these guys are pretty much raised in. And because they have no conflict resolution skills and critical thinking skills, they act impulsively and they act emotionally, not thinking about the cause and effect or the consequences of their actions in the long term. And when you look at Cory Godbolt's actions, they pretty much were the actions of someone who was a psycho simp. Because when a psycho simp can't get their way with the female that they are involved with or they had previous interactions with, what they will do is they go berserk. And their idea of solving a problem is going out and going to get a gun to go out and harm others. And this is what psycho simps do, and this is why psycho simps are extremely dangerous to get involved with, because when it comes down to your simp, in most cases, he eventually is going to evolve into a psycho simp. Because once this man is rejected, that's when you see him evolve into this psychopathic behavior, such as stalking, harassment, threats, and acts of horrific violence. Because when it comes down to your simp, they pretty much put this woman on a pedestal, and when the object of their affection rejects them, that's when they turn the object of their affection into an enemy in order to continue the relationship in a kind of psychotic way. So this is why your psycho simp is extremely dangerous, because this guy, again, he can't take rejection, he can't take failure, and he can't take women saying no to him. And that's what makes him extremely dangerous to be around. This guy pretty much, he thinks emotionally, he acts irrationally, and that's what makes him a danger to everyone. And sadly, when I look at the case of Willam Cory Godbolt, his case, sadly, is becoming a new textbook case as it relates to males today. And what's sad about this is that many in the mental health industry have not caught on to this pattern and seen it the way that I see it as it relates to these psycho simps, and pretty much or making a course of action to deal with this so that the next generation won't be as dysfunctional as this generation of psycho simps. Because we really need to have some people in mental health to take a long, hard look at this trend, because this is a trend that is getting worse instead of getting better. And no one is taking a long, hard look at the way we are raising males, the way we are teaching males, and the way we are preparing males to go out into the world. Because the way we have been raising males for the last 30 to 50 years has created a generation or two generations of soft men who pretty much cannot navigate the course of life. And because they are soft and they do not know how to deal with conflicts and the problems of life, they are pretty much melting down and exploding on an almost daily basis. And this trend, as I have stated in previous videos, seems to be getting worse instead of getting better. And it seems like almost every day we're having a psycho simp having some sort of emotional meltdown where they pretty much try to solve their problems by acting violently and committing mass murders or murders of people, all because they couldn't get their way with a person who they were involved with. And because they couldn't get that person to do what they wanted them to do, they decided they were going to kill them. And when it comes down to this psycho simp, when the object of his affection doesn't want to do what he wants, he then wants to destroy that object, and then in some cases destroy himself, because he doesn't understand that the basis of relationships is that they will eventually end in one way or the other. People break up, it's just a part of life. They decide things aren't going to work out, and they go on to have relationships with other people. And this is something your psycho simp and many simps don't understand, because they don't see people as people. They live in a fantasy world of rose-colored glasses, and once you break the fantasy and make the world become a reality, that's when this guy pretty much decides he's going to destroy everybody's world, because his fantasy has been destroyed. And because his fantasy has been destroyed, he doesn't want to face the emotional pain and reality of this relationship ending. And because he doesn't want that relationship to end, he decides he wants to end everybody else's life, because his life is going through a temporary period of hardship. And this is what's really a problem that this simp doesn't understand, is that this issue that he's had where this woman has rejected him, that's just, again, a part of life, and there will always be other women. This is something that your simp just doesn't understand. And when it comes down to this psycho simp, again, this is a trend that we really need mental health professionals to take a longer and harder look at, because this trend of males not knowing how to deal with life is something that really needs to be dealt with, because the way we are raising males is leading to them becoming more violent and more dangerous with each passing day. And the social engineering of this soft male is leading to the evolution of the psycho simp. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.